Hello everybody, today I'm starting with a new project, and this is a Christmas tree skirt. I've never made one before, and I came across some gorgeous images on Pinterest a few years ago now, and I revisited them because I knew if I ever made a Christmas tree skirt, this would be the sort of skirt that I would be more interested in making. Beautiful, beautiful tree skirts made by a lady on Etsy. I will put a link to that store in the description box below. It's called Exquisite Tannenbaum. Absolutely gorgeous. A little bit out of my price range, or I should say a lot out of my price range, so I am attempting to make one myself, and I thought you might like to watch how I'm attempting to do that. Now, to make it, it's like a Dresden pattern, a quilted Dresden pattern. I have made up a little mock sample just to see how it was done. This, I was helped by a tutorial on YouTube. The YouTube channel name is Oxygen Farm Quilts. She does a Dresden tree skirt, which is exactly what I want to do, but I am alternating the size of the segments. I'm going large and smaller. So that was just my mock-up. It's not perfect in any way, but it just gave me an idea of how things work. And I've cut my backing pieces out for each segment, and I've got the dimensions here like this. I didn't have a pattern for this, so I made my own pattern. I'm just trying to see if I've still got it. No, I've cut it up to make the sample piece. Let me show you how I made the pattern. I might be able to just use a piece of paper. I got an A4 sheet of paper and I folded it over diagonally and cut it into a square like that. I then proceeded to fold my square a few times until I got, the desired amount that I wanted. Probably another one, I would think, like that. Then I cut it off like that, and I opened it up like that, and that gave me all the segments. Now there's a lot on here. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a 16 segment Dresden plate. I'm only doing 10. I didn't want it too bitty, so I'm doing 10 segments on mine, and they're alternating between large and small. When I cut my segments out on my sample mock-up, the smaller one is half the size of the larger one. That's how I worked it out. And I figured out that I wanted 5 of each, and see how one is slightly smaller, shorter than the other one. They still have the same angle, like here, but it's just smaller. And to make my larger ones here, all I did, I will show you, was when this was folded in half, I folded a larger piece of paper in half, and I put this over, and I followed the same angle. Of course, this piece here was further up like that. It was further up like that. That would have been the top piece. And then I just kept the same angle and ruled a line all the way down. You can see how I've joined the paper to make it as long as I wanted to make it. And that's all I did to enlarge it. And then, because this will be, I made it the length I wanted to make it. I didn't include the seam allowance. When I cut it out, I attached the seam allowance. Now, the large one, I'll just tell you the measurements. The length from here to the top up here is 15 inches, which is 38 centimetres. The width down the bottom is 12.5 inches, which is 32 centimetres. And the little bit at the top I've left 1.25 inches, and that's 3 centimetres. Just in case you need to know that and you want to follow along. The smaller piece I've used is, the length of it is 13.5 inches, which is 34.5 centimetres. The width is 5.5 inches, which is 14 centimetres. And the top part is 3/4 of an inch, which is about 2 centimetres. Now, perhaps don't cut anything out if you want to follow along until you've seen how mine turns out, because this is still, although I've done a little sample piece, it's still all trial and error for me. So they're my pattern pieces, and then I just used, I thought, what fabric am I going to use to use for my backing? And so what I've used is table napkins that were sent to me by the lovely Stacy, and I had, I think there's about 20 or so like that, these table napkins. So I used those to cut my pieces out. You can see it only just fit because, look, there's a tiny little bit of crochet edge right in each corner, but that will be fine because that gets folded over anyway. So I use table napkins, so I've got 5 of each size here. And now what I have to do, according to the lady on, I think it's Christine, I'm not sure, I'll put it in the description box below, Oxygen Farm Quilts, what I do is I get the end, because I thought I would have to, I've only done a round one many, many years ago. What I have to do is fold these pieces at the bottom together like that and stitch across there. So I'll go do that and then I'll show you what happens. Okay, so I've stitched across the bottom. There's the top up there. And then what I have to do is, I think we can just cut a little wedge off there, like that. Not cutting the stitching, so it's just like that. And then put your thumb in, fold it over to one side, and you do that. And I think we can use our pointer tool carefully and do that. And that makes the point for our Dresden pattern. Like that. So how that makes a lovely neat point, and I have to do that on every single one of them, and that will be the piece that I decorate. I'll just have to make sure that's nice and straight, and then I'll probably, I don't know if I need to press it or not. This seems to press quite nicely. That looks a bit better. And this will be the piece that I decorate. And I will be decorating all the pieces before joining them all together. I think that will be the best way. That way I can do them all different and incorporate different fabrics on top of them. A little bit, you know, like we do with our slow stitching and things. But I'm going to do this on the sewing machine because I want it to last a long, long time. My cats sit under my Christmas tree as well, so I want it to be very durable, and it has to be able to go through the wash as well, or at least hand washed. So I'm just going to do it on the sewing machine. which I love using the sewing machine. So I'm going to go ahead and do all my points on all my pieces, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've stitched them all, I've opened them all up, and I've pressed them all to give them a really nice sharp 90-degree angle. And they're all sort of heading in the right direction up here as well, which is good, which helps you to get that 90-degree angle. So just put it on my mat and it was easy. So they're all ready now to start decorating, which is, I guess, the fun part, isn't it? Now I've got to think, how do I want to decorate them? I need to get a variety of fabrics. Yeah, so I'll go off and I'll find a few different fabrics and come back and show you what I'll be working with. Alright then, so I found a couple of fabrics to get me started. I've got these offcuts I found thrifting. It's just it's like it's quite pretty, but because of the shine it'd be nice for Christmas time. So I've got that one. I've got a few doilies here. That's a piece off a doily. See how that looks over the top of the creamy colour, which is quite pretty. Then I've got a couple of smaller doilies here, and they're from Stacey, and so are these two from Stacey, with the wide open feel to it. And also this one is from Stacey. It's a runner, but see how pretty that looks over the top of the cream. I thought that might work nice. And this is a runner. I think, yep, it's a runner. It's also got this lovely lace that I can use on the piece as well. And that's got like a water effect to it. And another doily there. And also I have this, which is a European pillowcase that I found thrifting a long time ago. The damask type of effect to it is nice texture and things like that. So that's what I thought I would start with, those ones there. And I thought, because I've got quite a lot of this, I might, just let me move these two, oops, cat and dog are at it. Yeah, thank you, good girl. Because I've got this, and these are, it's just like, I don't know what, it's a remnant that was, that I found, but it's just long strips. I don't know if it's one big long strip or not. Let's have a look. Looks like, oh, it's a couple of long strips. No, it's actually one big long strip. Okay, so there's a couple of marks. So I'm going to try and avoid the marks and decide which is going to be the right way, I guess. That looks like it's the right way. There. And I think I'll start with the smaller ones. I can do all the smaller ones using the same fabric. I will decorate it, but okay, the stain's there, so I'll use that side of that there, like that. So if I just lay that there, like that. And do I have any pins? I can use these. I'll use these ones sharper. And just pin that before I cut it. I might just cut that off though, so it's easier to work with, because there's so much of it. I really don't need to conserve fabric on this. It's just something picked up from the op shop thrift store. So just a couple so it doesn't move around while I'm cutting. I'll do this one here, but I think I'll do the rest down on my bigger table because it will give me a better result, I think. So being careful not to cut that fold. I guess this is where having a rotary cutter would come in handy. And a big mat, but I don't have a big mat. So I'm just going to cut all the skinny ones in this fabric, I think, just to keep some sort of continuity to it. But they probably decorated differently. And I will add laces and things to the top and braid and perhaps ribbons, whatever I can find really. It's a good way to use up the things that you have, which is what I'm trying to do lately. Just, use up what I've got, because I feel like I've got a lot. I don't need to buy all the time. I need to use what I've got. Okay, so that will be the narrow one like that. And I think I've got a couple of scraps. Okay, so, bits of braiding and things will cover all the joins of it when it's put together. And like you can have the braids on the seams, and what have I got here? I've just got scraps on my desk here. But just to give you an idea, okay, here's an old piece of lace. You can have lace going across like that, just to add texture, or a piece of, not that particular lace, but a piece of doily, and then it just to add some texture on the piece. The one who does it, beautiful fringing and things like that. Even things like this is just I cut a flower out of, you could put one of those on there. You can decorate it however you like. It's kind of like, crazy patchwork or something like that, but it's not. And I'm going to sort of sew all that sort of thing on the machine. So isn't that pretty? Especially for Christmas, like, it's the only time I'd sort of decorate with shiny things like that. And then once you add things to it, like you could put applique pieces on it. You could even, look, I've still got these left over from when I was making Christmas decorations. But, you could decorate with things like that on there as well. Whatever you fancy, but the background is what I'm going to start with, making all my background pieces like that. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've done the small ones there, and now I'm on to doing the large ones. And I've got this table runner folded in half here, and I've laid one of the larger pieces on top of it. I just spilled my pins. Don't want to lose these ones. Just bear with me while I save my pins before they get lost under other things. And I don't want these ones fully covered with the same fabric. I want to give it, a mixed up kind of look to it. So what I'm going to do is perhaps fold that up a bit like that, and just pin it like that, and cut across here. Yeah, that might work quite nicely. So let's just turn it on the side like that, and I'll just cut up here like that on both of them at a good spot. Sorry if you can't see that. I'm just cutting through the lace there neatly, and then I will come over and just cut across like that. And I'm going to cut an extra one out of each shape as well, just in case I need 6 of each rather than 5. I did my sample with 5, but I wouldn't mind having a spare just in case I need one extra at the end. So like that. Oop, don't want to cut that one up. Put that to one side. Okay, so 2 of the larger ones will get this fabric on the bottom of them. So let me just move one of those. Okay, move that one. Turn that over. That's the wrong side, so let's just turn it over and pin that on. And I'll just be careful not to put the same ones right next to each other at the end. One more. Do I have one more? No. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that one on that one. So that's a bottom, and I'll have a different fabric at the top. So put that to one side and get another one. Put that there, and that's the wrong side. That's the right side. Yeah, that's the right side. Okay. And I'll have to find some more fabrics. I only had a quick look before. I'm sure I've got more. But even if I only use a plain one, I can put lace over things as well to make it have a different appearance. Like, oh, I feel like I'm keep spilling my pins. I've got too much on my desk. There we go. Birds are very active outside today, and I can trim these, like, see how that's a bit wider? I can trim them up when it's time. So I've got those 2, but I thought, you know, I've got here it is, the runner. I've still got this piece at the top here, so what I could do with that is do a couple of top pieces with it as well, rather than, I mean, I could do it that way, but I think it's probably just as easy to do it that way. So we'll cut a couple of those out as well. Okay. Okay, so we'll just flip that up and like that. Get that straight across, like that. And then I can do that. Okay, like that. So put that one up the top, like that. That, and get another one and put one up the top here. And I'll just continue doing this, finding, well, I've got that European pillowcase here, I can use that as well. Two of those, so I've got that, and then I've still got this piece here that has nothing on it, but like I said, I want to make a spare one as well, so let me just have a look. Just a moment. Okay, so I've cut a piece off that lovely damask pillowcase, and I've got one of my pieces here. I have started patching fabrics onto the larger ones, and I want the bottom half of this to be in this fabric. It has a design, see how it comes down like that into a point. I thought if I can line that up towards the bottom there, it might be good. I'd have to flip it over. That way I can see what I'm doing. About there, I'm thinking. That will be quite all right. Like that. Making sure it's straight on the fabric, and then I'm just going to, I can see where the other fabric finishes, this one here, so I want to take it a little bit further up than that, and because it's a heavy fabric I don't need to pin it while I'm cutting this one. Let's come away from all the fabrics so we don't end up cutting something underneath. We'll just take it all the way up at the moment. And I will cut it down here. Back up. Careful not to cut my fabric piece here, and then cut up here. And then turn it over, and I want to cut straight across there like that, so that's got a nice overlap. And then I can pin this on, and that design comes nicely to the point there, see? So let's just pin that on so I know that that's done. And where's my pins, which I remembered to close. And this is like the base layer of it. Okay, so that's pinned on. And then, do you see, this one has this fabric here down the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is, where's that piece gone? This piece here that I just cut out, I could put that there. I'm thinking. Make sure I've got it fairly straight. So if I, whoops, without spilling my pins again, if I can just pin that into place, like that, like that. And just to hold it, because it's got lovely texture, that one. And then flip it over and cut that out. That, and then that one has two, and I'll find something for that. I did also, let's get that closed. I did also find, so I've got that and that. I did also find, I've already done one like that, so I've got two like that, because I love symmetry. I can try and be random, but symmetry is just something I naturally go for. So if I have two of each, even though I've only done 5, I have cut out an extra one just in case. I found some beautiful raw silk. It's from a wedding gown that I found years ago that I'd cut up. So I've done a plain one in the raw silk there. I mean, but I've cut another one out as well. And then I've got all the skinny ones done in this. So it'll go, if I've got enough room here, it'll kind of go like that one, you know, that one, perhaps that one, like that. And it will all be, oh, yeah, that, and then another skinny one on that side there, and another skinny one on that side, like that. Can you even see that? So look, like that, and like that, and like that. I'll move those so it gives you a better idea. See how it goes like that. And with these, like I've got from that runner, I can use this beautiful lace to start putting some lace on some of these. It would actually go beautiful on that raw silk one there. I've also got, or let me just put these back here so I don't get them everywhere. Or you've got something like this, and you know, you can put a bit of that across like there, like that. Of course I need to put something in here. I could put a bit of the raw silk in there actually, couldn't I? I've got a scrap left here. I could just cut a piece out and fill in that triangle, or I can find something totally different. So I could put it across there, or, you know, I love this. This is beautiful. Or what else? I pulled that other stuff out as well. I've got these beautiful doilies, although that would cover, mind you, it doesn't matter if it covers that up, although that would be quite nice there as well. Or, you know, something like a full doily like that could quite easily go on to the raw silk, which would add a nice feature, putting it the right way, of course. I don't want it too close to the edges. I must leave the edges. I need to leave a 1 centimetre, just under a ½ inch seam allowance. And plus I need room, once that seam allowance goes like that, I also need room. What have I got a piece here? You know, this is just an example for putting a braid around the edge as well. I quite like that on there, but that's not the only thing that will go on there. I can put other things on there as well. Maybe I'll pin it there just as an example. I've got 2 of them, and I did cut another piece out, so in case I need another one, I can put the other one there. And where's my pins? Let's just pin that there. But I think before I decorate it, I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew all the bases on, so I know where I'm at. All these base fabrics, I'll just stitch them on. Will I do a zigzag? I might do a zigzag and stop any fraying, I guess. But they'll all be covered in the end anyway, all the edges, so perhaps a straight stitch will be fine. So that's an example of that. What else have we got here? See, I've got this, but I've only got 1 of these. Yeah, I've only got 1 of those. I've got a beautiful couple of doilies here. How lovely is that? That's beautiful, isn't it? That could go on something like that, because it just shines through so nicely. Just to that halfway. It's not even halfway. Well, I can't do it that wide because, let me think. I could just, oh, see, it's got like a flower almost. Well, it hasn't. That's in the center, isn't it? I could do, let me think, I could cut it around there and do like a half. Maybe like that. Design. I can always come back and put something down the bottom. Or this is not something I'm going to finish in one day. I've got this little doily thing here as well, which has the peaks in the corners, which might work quite well if I'm one that's not so wrinkled up. Okay, is that the right way? That's the right way. You know, something like that would be very nice to put on there, not too close. Like I could do that for, oh, that's what I could do. I could just cut it out around and around like that, and then have a piece of lace across there as well. That might be nice. Let's just do that before I forget. Where was I going to cut it? Here. a look. Something like that could look pretty there. And something across there, and I'm going to have something there as well. Oh, I wonder if I've got any of those. Oh, I wonder. I don't know, I'll have to look, but something like that could work as well. I think that would look nice on one. That is the right way, isn't it? It needs a bit of a press, I think, before I stitch it on. Is that the right way? Let's have a look. Oh, definitely the right way, yes. So it's just a matter of spacing it out a good distance, like that. I'm going to pin that on as well. And you perhaps wouldn't want this one and that one right next to each other, although it might be fine to have them right next to each other, because they're not exactly the same. Okay, it doesn't need another one, that's fine. But that's the general idea, to start doing that and finding pretty things to, you know, put on it and decorate it. But the first thing I've got to do is stitch these bases down so I can take all the pins out and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll probably just use the straight stitch and then I'll be back. Alright, I'm back and I have no idea where I left off. I've stitched all the fabrics to the base fabric. They're all the skinny strips. I haven't done anything more to those. Then I started playing around with the bigger ones and got carried away. So let me just show you what I've done, and I've done 2 of each. So this is the raw silk background. I've put that trim there which came off the table runner. That's the table runner that I cut up for the background, and I've put a piece of the lace up the top. I've got this lovely doily here, and just to add a bit of darker colour to it, and then I have a lace trim down the bottom. I'll bring that up so you can see it. They're all just pinned at the moment, and there's 2 of those. So that's that one. The next one is this one here. This is the one with the pillowcase at the top. Part of the napkin, which we made our bases with, that is there, that went in that triangle that I had left. And then I've got this lovely little lace trim here that goes across, and I'm going to try and find a braid that will go at the top of that. I might need to move that down or move that up a little bit. I've got the corner of the doily, I think I had that pinned on before, down the bottom there as well. And so there's 2 of those, and then the last 2 large ones are here, and we have the pillowcase section down the bottom and the runner up the top. I have this cotton trim across the top there, more of that runner lace there, and then this is the corner from the doilies I used for the backing. I just cut the corner lace off. I'm trying to find a piece so I can show you. I don't know if I've got one here. Oh, is that one? Okay, so that's one corner, but this of course has the embroidery on it, which is lovely, and I've kept them all. But see how the cotton, the crochet trim is like that? I just cut that off just above the hem there, and I've popped that on both of those. And so I think that's going to look quite nice. There's still more to be done to it. I'm thinking of this one. I'd like to have something in the center here. And they're all going to have trim around the corners of them. But if you kind of envision it being like that, I'll just show you bits, and that, and that, like that. And in between each one of them is going to be a skinny piece like that and like that, kind of. Probably easier to, if I do that, that, like that. And that, like that. But you kind of get the idea, and then there'll be trim going down them. I'm wondering what I can do on here, if I've got something I can use. More than likely I have, I just haven't come across it yet. But these are the colours I want, just the beiges, the beigey whites, light whites, just something nice like that. And of course then this pattern will repeat itself again. I've got trim braids. I'm not sure exactly what they look like. I bought them years ago when Lincraft had a sale. They had some packs of these braids. I'm hoping I have enough to do at least some of it. It'll be fun to see how it turns out. I think I've even got tassel braid to put around the edge as well. So that's where I'm up to. I'm wondering whether this is too shiny. But it is Christmas, isn't it? And I don't normally have shiny things around my living areas. It's just the one time of the year I go all out. I love shiny, blingy baubles, and, you know, it's just something special. So it might turn out all right. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. If not, I can always put something to calm it down a little bit. But I think, you know, because there's bits of shiny stuff in the panels as well, it should be all right. And, you know, I might put something in the center of that, maybe a mother of pearl button or something like that would be nice. And the same here, something in the center down here. So I've had a lot of fun doing this today. I got carried away, and that's why I didn't sort of get back to filming what I was doing. I started cutting bits out, and it sort of went from there. But you can see what I've done, and all the bases are stitched on. And once I'd stitched them on, I turned it over from the back, and then I evened all the fabrics up so that when I come to stitching them, it'll be nice and even. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this first video. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, playing with my things. It's been wonderful. Made a lovely mess, and I had a mess to start with, so it's twice the mess now. I'm thinking I might need something up here as well. It's a bit plain up there, isn't it? I think because we've got, it goes across. It needs something, but I don't know what. And it could do with something here, maybe. Oh, maybe not, because if I find a braid that I can put there as well, and I have the two, it might be all right. So we'll see. You'll find out in the next video, I guess. So take care, everybody, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.